Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal and also NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris is with us. Camila, you've been following this trial. Take us kind of inside the courtroom when the verdict was read, and what did the late husband's family say afterward?
Yeah, Kate, so our producer in the courtroom even saying that she saw Corey shaking before that verdict was read. And as that first guilty verdict was read, her head just went down. And you could see her taking some deep breaths. Clearly, it was not the verdict that she was expecting. Family members were told not to have any reaction in the courtroom, but you could still see some of them with tears in their eyes. There was someone that I saw that put their head up and just looked up after this verdict was read. But after the court ended and everything was over, they had some stuff to share, but also trying to come up with how they were feeling. Here's Eric's sister and what she said.
Honestly, I feel like we're all in shock still. It's been a long time coming. So just very happy that we got justice for my brother.
And tell me a little about Eric. How do you want him to be remembered?
This is the amazing man and father he was.
The family had obviously fought very hard for all of this. The prosecution had focused on the motive being the money and the fact that she wanted to be with another man, guys.
Camila, thank you. Misty, let's bring you in because notably here, Corey Richards did not testify. The defense did not call any witnesses either. Do you think if they had, the outcome may have proved differently?
Well, a couple of things, because first of all, the defense often doesn't put on a case. So that's because the burden of proof doesn't lie with them. So once you start opening up doors, it can be problematic, and they get a lot of their case out on cross-examination. That's where they're poking the holes in the prosecution's argument, credibility of witnesses, and that's where you see the defense really focused. As far as Corey Richards testifying, that would have been such a big risk. It's most anxiety-inducing decision from a defense perspective, whether or not to take the stand, but ultimately it's got to be that risk-reward. And when there's a risk, when you have the electronic footprint, you have a lot of action. She would have been challenged on cross-examination to explain. It was likely to be too risky to put her on the stand. What I will say is, though, in opening statements, the defense really laid it out there and said, you're going to hear from this witness, this witness, this witness, you're going to hear all of this testimony, and then they never put anybody on. Right. To the point where during closing, prosecutors pointed out, they told you you were going to hear a bunch of stuff, and you didn't. The defense had to respond and say, well, trial strategy changes throughout the case. So it's that idea of potentially over-promising, then the jury remembers. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a hole in the case, even though the burden never shifts.
Camila, if I could go back to you just for a second, the children's book that we mentioned, published by Corey Richards, it came up during the trial. How did it factor in?
Yeah, so prosecutors said three things about this book. One, that it showed the fact that she wanted to deflect. So prosecutors were honing in on her, and they said, look, she wanted to distract everyone. They even sent one of those books, her mother did, to the police department. The second thing they said is she wanted to make money, and she told friends that she was going to make money off of every book that she was going to sell. And the other thing that came up in trial was that she actually hired a ghostwriter to write this book. So they said, look, what she wanted was to be seen as a writer. So what she cared about was the perception of someone who was a writer, who had money. So they said all of this played into who she was and why she killed her husband.
Camila Bernal, Misty Marris, thanks to you both.